Hi there, Future Renly here. This is the first video in my makeup tutorial series for LARPers and cosplayers. You can definitely tell that it's the first video because it has some flaws. I didn't really know what I was doing. I learned a lot from this process and I hope to do better in the future. So I hope that I've explained my processes as well as I possibly can. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you. So the main point of this episode is to both show you how to do a kind of simple dog or wolf or coyote makeup. Here I'm using my coyote character Nell, and do just some basic color blocking for the fur. And something that I have found that is the most important thing about playing an animal character is that you get that fur texture in there and you get everything blocked out properly. Otherwise you're just going to have a muddy mess. It's something that kind of irks me about most animal makeups, is that they're not properly blocked and they don't have enough texture to actually look like fur. Some people can pull it off, most people cannot. So in my obsessive ways I figured out kind of what works for me. You know, if something else works for you, then go for it. But so what I'm doing here is I'm blocking out the lightest color first with just a makeup sponge. It's just really simple. I'm using Wolf Brothers for this, but you can also use, you know, whatever type of makeup works for you. I typically use Wolf Brothers and Mayron because they're water-based. They go on really easily. They come off really easily. Unfortunately, you have to seal them very, very well so that they don't come off, so that you don't sweat them off. And you're going to want to go down your neck as well. Some people will recommend painting your arms. I don't tend to do this because I wear a lot of long sleeves and gloves, and I don't really need it. So underneath my eyes I put these white patches. I'm starting to look a little bit like a clown here. And what you use to seal that, which I don't actually use it in this video, but I'll get to it eventually, you use Elf. I use just the Elf setting spray. Some people use Mayron. Here I am blocking out my eye spots. Because I will be somewhat covering up my eyebrows, I like to be able to express myself still, so I give myself eye spots in place of my eyebrows. Next you're going to go in with your second lightest color. The gray I use very little of because I actually don't like this gray very much. I always go as close to my hairline as possible though, at least as much as you're going to see. Because if you have a space between your makeup and your hairline, at least a big one, people are going to see that. You're going to know it's there if you're obsessive like me. You're going to go down the line, the sides of your neck, which Nell's design is actually kind of... never mind. We're moving on. So now I am using, it's the matte palette. I just got it from Amazon. It's pretty cheap. Just matte eyeshadow. This part can be a little weird and make you look kind of tan and orange, but the point is that you're laying down color before you texture over top. So I'm laying down just a little bit of color so that my face doesn't really show as much underneath, and here I'm just kind of... And leave your nose for later so that the black will stick to it. I'm not sure what that was for. I guess we'll see in a sec. Here we go. So now you're painting fur, and it's really hard to see with the white, but basically you're just layering individual hairs. This can be a very tedious process, but it's extremely rewarding. And it just takes a lot of practice. When I first started doing Nell, it took me about 2 hours to get all this on, and now it takes about 30 minutes at most. I've gotten very, very quick at it, just because I've learned how her fur patterns work and how her fur behaves. Definitely, you're going to want to use reference photos. Find references of your animal. Start a Pinterest board. You know, start a collection on your computer. Print those suckers out if you have to, but keep that around. Learn the direction of the fur on a coyote's face or on a wolf's face or whatever you're trying to be. Or scale pattern. On the neck, you're going to want those hairs to point away from each other. this adds a really neat effect, which most people aren't going to get to see because it's on your neck, but I also forgot to do my neck with the brown there. That's just what I'm touching up on. The endless drying process. You're always going to be either looking for something or drying something while you're doing this. I'm going to add fur to the unders of my eyes, and you don't really need to do this too precisely yet. I'll get to that in a second. Because it's all just a bunch of layering. And it looks really stupid right now, but it's going to get a lot better. Now you're going to do your gray, which most coyotes are actually kind of the reverse of this. Nell's color pattern, or coat pattern, is reversed. Instead of gray on red or brown, it's brown on red or gray. I just thought that looked a lot better. But, you know, it's up to you. You can always draw your character ahead of time if you can draw. Even if you can't, just try to get that in your head. And you're going to go down your neck and do the same thing. Always make sure to let your makeup dry in between coats too, because it's water-based. Because you're going back over water-based makeup with water. It's just going to take it right back up and you're going to have bald spots. So there's the mare on the brown. Yeah, it's real great to hold your paintbrushes in your mouth too. So now you're going to go around with your brown, and this part takes the longest, but you can see a pretty dramatic change. I always like to start on one side and kind of either work my way over or do one side at a time. And a lot of it's just going to be checking one side to the other to make sure it's somewhat even. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're an animal. You don't have to be perfect. I go around my eyes. I do the black last. And we'll get to that in a second. It's just a lot of fur painting. You're going to want to use a smaller brush for this, unless you have, you know, a part of you that's got larger hairs, and then you can use larger brush. But I like to use just the one that came with the Wolf Brothers paint. I would recommend about like a smallish brush, and then one that's kind of, you know, the little wispy ones that are kind of long. I don't know what they're called. Like I said, it's just a lot of fur painting. Just paint all that fur. I believe in you. You can do this. Another quick tip is always try to do your makeup before you get to the event at least once. Test that crap out, because if you get there and you find that it doesn't work, or something, or you don't know how to do something, I don't know about you, but that gives me a lot of frustration when I don't know how to do something, so I always test beforehand. Now, I guess I move on to the nose next. Oh, nope, we're on the neck. Yeah, the neck is going to have longer hairs. Just check your animal and see where it gets longer and where it gets shorter, because you're going to have shorter fur on the face, longer hairs on the neck, which is probably where you can use a bigger brush. Yeah, you're going to want to go all the way around your neck. I am lazy and don't usually do it, because I wear, I have collared shirts that come up high enough, typically. And it's just hard to see, and I don't want to make it look bad because I can't see it. But don't, do as I say, not as I do. Now you're going to go down your nose and you're going to do little tiny hairs. But you're not going to, don't go to the end of your nose, so that the brown won't mix with the black quite as much. If you want that to happen, go for it, but ow! Sorry, my cat just jumped on me and scratched my elbow. Wonderful. Okay, now you're going to go back in with the white. This step is optional, but it makes it look a whole lot better. You're going to go in with the white, and you're going to layer the white back onto the brown with your small brush. You can see how small that one is there. And onto your gray. Because as you're layering out with the other colors, it's going to cover up that white, and you're going to want those white hairs to stand out. You're going to do the same thing with the gray. Or you're going to keep doing it with the white. Because you're getting ahead of yourself. Now you're going to finally do your eye spots. I don't tend to fur these in until everything else is done, but, you know, it's up to you. At this point, you're going to look like some kind of weird owl. But I promise it does look a lot better with the black. Ooh, I also like to kind of paint over my eyebrow hairs a little bit too, just to give them a little bit of a highlight. I don't know, I think it looks really nice. Gonna go back over it with the gray. I actually quit playing this character for a while because the makeup is so extensive, and in the summer heat it's just too much. If your face gets itchy, it's really hard to scratch it. Alright, so this part is really important. That I just showed was H2O proof eyeliner, which is waterproof. I do not use it on my eyes because it's sticky, but I do use it on my nose because one of my biggest pet peeves is not being able to keep my nose, either scratching it or bumping against someone and my nose coming off. So I use that instead, but right here I'm just using black face paint. The only thing about the H2O proof eyeliner, which it's a cheaper option I think than alcohol paint. You could use alcohol paint. I wish I had some so I could do this. You want to go kind of inside your nose with it here, and I probably should have gone up a little bit farther. Dog noses and cat noses, at least for makeup, are fairly similar, but you do want to go up a little higher with a dog nose, just so you don't look like a cat. Bleached hair. Now you're gonna go around your eyes, back up a little. Point is, you're gonna go around your eyes. Not like eyeliner. You're gonna go all the way over your eyelid. Which, I mean, you could use eyeliner. I don't use eyeliner for my eyes. If you're going to do this method, use the black face paint, go over your entire eyelid, just so it doesn't smudge around and stuff. What I was saying though about the liquid eyeliner though, is that stuff is really hard to wash off. I might be able to get it off easier with alcohol, but it takes some scrubbing. So if you don't mind your nose coming off, then just use face paint. Otherwise, use the liquid eyeliner. Yep, you're just going to go all the way around your eyes, and it really kind of just makes everything pop. And you don't have to draw that line down your face to your lip from your nose, but I like to. I don't like to draw whiskers on, but that's also optional. I don't know if I've shown it at this point though, but I wear ears for this character. So I paint over my real ears, kind of what I call Julie Taymor style, where you're not hiding your ears completely, but I do paint over them to kind of simulate that it's just part of my head. So I just paint more fur on my ears, kind of roughly, just to kind of symbolize, hey, yeah, you can kind of see it there a little bit. I have two different kinds of lipstick here that I use. One is Wet n Wild, just the black. Black lipstick is really hard to come by. The other one is from Tater Rounds Beauty on Etsy. And it's called Born Villain. It's got little red flecks in it. I like it okay, but I think it gives a little bit of a different look, so I don't tend to use it as much. Also, Wet n Wild is kind of a crappy makeup brand, in my opinion, so you're gonna need to keep that lipstick with you. Which, again, this is optional, but I really think that it adds a lot more to the character, because dogs, in general, tend to have black lips and gums, you know. And some cats. I did a really bad job here with my lipstick. I think I was in a hurry. I like to go around the edges of my lips, too, sometimes with white, just to clean it up. You're not gonna care by the end of the day, and especially if it's dark, if it's like the first night of a LARP. If you're a cosplayer, I'm sorry. I'm giving LARPers all the love in this episode. And I can see I'm kind of getting near the end here. And we're drying, and we're drying. So much drying. Whoops, I got a little ahead of myself there. This is the e.l.f. setting spray. You just spray it all over yourself. And you can use a sponge to set it a little better, and use setting powder, because that stuff gets sticky a little bit. Just, yeah. Alright, so that's episode 1 of my LARP cosplay makeup tutorial series. If you like what you saw here and you want to see more, there are a few places you can find me. You can find me on Tumblr at rinleycoyote.tumblr.com, or you can find me on Instagram at rinleycoyote or rinyote cosplay, depending on what you like, art or cosplay. They're split up. I have an Etsy store as well. It's Taileybones. That's Taileybones. There's also a Facebook page for that too. And if you like this video and want to see more, please feel free to let me know. I've got a whole list of suggestions, but I'm open to requests as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Coyote out! I didn't go far enough. You see something crazy cool? I glow in the dark now. Wonderful.